Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці, українки.
I wish you health, fellow Ukrainians. I had a call with US President Biden, as always, a meaningful conversation, a conversation of allies, a strong signal of support as much as needed for the victory. I am grateful to President Biden, to the Congress, both parties, and to the American people for their strong support and leadership. Leadership that helps unite the world to protect lives and the rules-based international order. Ukrainians know how important strong unity is in defending against terror, against aggression, unity here in our country, unity in partner countries, particularly in America, unity of the world. We discussed further joint steps in the defense of freedom. We discussed defense support, including the fact that ATACMS can help us speed up the liberation of Ukraine from the occupier. Of course, we also talked about preserving assistance to Ukraine next year, about a significant support package for our country. America will support the implementation of the peace formula, and I have informed President Biden of the next major international meeting on the peace formula, which will take place in Malta this month. I asked President Biden about his visit to the Middle East and his view of the further developments. We share the same view that it is necessary to avoid further destabilization and incitement of war in this region of the world as well. Ukrainians and Americans, we sympathize with all victims of the tragic events. Ukraine is ready to work together with America and all partners to stabilize the situation and save as many lives as possible. I also spoke with UN Secretary General Guterres. We talked about how the UN institutions can help our country and our people during the winter period. We also talked about food security, about the roads of food exports from Ukraine in the Black Sea, about the need to protect Ukrainian ports from Russian terrorist attacks. I invited Mr. Secretary General to the Food Summit, the summit of our humanitarian initiative Grain from Ukraine, which will be held in November. I also praised the UN's active participation in the global efforts on the peace formula and the readiness to send a UN representative to the next meeting in the format of advisors. Of course, we also discussed the situation in Israel, Palestine, and the Middle East in general. The whole world must be consolidated so that peace reigns in every region of the world, everywhere on earth. And no matter what happens, all parties must ensure that ordinary civilians receive the necessary assistance and are able to flee hostilities. Any form of terror and warmongering is unacceptable. One more thing. I started this day with a working trip to Kyiv region, those towns and villages affected by the Russian occupation. I am grateful to everyone who is working to restore everything that was destroyed by the occupier. Ukraine is not left alone. We are being helped by governments of different countries and philanthropists. Of course, a lot needs to be done, a lot needs to be rebuilt, restored, so that not a single ruin is left in Ukraine. But all this work is based on one thing, the sincerity of the hearts of the people who are with us, who value life, freedom and courage as much as we do in Ukraine. I believe that such people are the majority in the world, and we must continue to do everything possible and impossible to ensure that the majority of the world stands with Ukraine. Glory to everyone who fights and works for Ukraine, for freedom. Thank you to everyone who helps us. Glory to Ukraine.
Слава Україні!